What I want you to know is that there's no one size fits all way to go about this. We are all going through a different storm. For some people, it's sprinkling rain, and for others, it's a full on hurricane. We each have our own unique challenges that we are facing, but you're not alone in this. We're through it together. To some of you, my approach may speak to you, and to some of you, Anastasia's will. And that's why I wanted to create this two-part series for you to basically show you that even if we have different ways of doing things, we can still be in it together and learn from one another without judgment. And most of all, respect one another as humans, because after all, we are all in this thing called life together. And who are we to judge how someone else is doing things when we really don't know the nuance of their situation? All we can do is simply offer our support and ideas with compassion when they ask, and then let others take their own journey. When I first started my wedding photography business back in 2011, I made just $5,000 in my business. Now, I bring in multiple six figures per year while working only 30-hour weeks serving my dream couples. I'm here to help you discover that it's so possible to have what you want when you want in your business so that you can create the life you've always dreamed of and deserve. Welcome to episode 52, the episode I've been terrified to record for about a year because I was so scared of what people would think of me and my approach. Oh, the fear of being judged. I'm pretty sure we all know what that feels like. But now I see that I was meant to wait a year so I can share with you this exact episode that I definitely didn't have in me when COVID first started. So here I am showing up, doing something that scares the shit out of me and doing it for you because I want so badly to help each and every single one of you figure out a way to navigate the situation with more ease and less stress. And this is pretty much, it ended up turning out to be a mini audiobook where I'm recording this with 9 parts to keep everything nicely organized for you. And I wrote this out because I wanted to make sure that this episode had so much value packed into it, into a way that was so organized and detailed as well. So, in this episode, I will share with you my mindset around my approach to navigating wedding reschedules and cancellations and what has been working for me. This will be a 2-part series too, so that you can get 2 different perspectives and 2 different approaches. In part 2, which will be the following episode that is already out today, you'll hear Anastasia, who is the the photographer at Olive Photography, on the approach that she has been using. So, my hope is that by the end of these 2 episodes, you will have gathered ideas of what will work best for you on how to navigate the situation for yourself. What I want you to know is that there's no one size fits all way to go about this. We are all going through a different storm. For some people, it's sprinkling rain, and for others, it's a full on hurricane. We each have our own unique challenges that we are facing, but you're not alone in this. We're through it together. To some of you, my approach may speak to you, and to some of you, Anastasia's will. And that's why I wanted to create this 2-part series for you to basically show you that even if we have different ways of doing things, we can still be in it together and learn from one another without judgment. And most of all, respect one another as humans, because after all, we are all in this thing called life together. And who are we to judge how someone else is doing things when we really don't know the nuance of their situation? All we can do is simply offer our support and ideas with compassion when they ask, and then let others take their own journey. So, first, I'll share with you my story of how I chose to navigate this and why, and then you can tune into Anastasia's in the next episode. I highly, highly, highly suggest that you listen to both episodes to gain an understanding of both perspectives, to then be able to make your own best call of how to approach everything yourself. With my approach here that I'm talking about, there's a lot of history, tied to it with past experiences that I've had and how I've grown spiritually and mindset wise over the years. So the format of this episode will be like a little audiobook with different parts and basically like little mini chapters. And each part builds onto the previous to help you understand the whole picture. So don't skip through any. My teaching style is meant to provide you with a perspective that you may not have thought of before and then empower you to make your own choices. I'm not here saying you should do anything. I'm here to tell you that all the questions that you have, the answers are within you. And all you have to do is know how to listen to those answers that you have. Okay, here we go. So, part one, how do you make decisions in your photography business from the inside or from the outside? I'm seeing so many posts on Facebook right now with photographers asking how to navigate this situation. Let me share with you the pros and cons of this. So, when I used to be faced with a difficult situation in my photography business, I used to turn to photographer Facebook groups for advice. I have found that doing this has both worked for me and not worked for me. For example, if I ask a technical question or needed or like inspiration for marketing ideas or a portfolio critique, for example, I would get some great responses that helped inspire me with some new ideas for my business. And that's awesome. But when I would ask the group for advice, when I was faced with a situation, such as getting an email from a client and not knowing how to respond, I discovered something profound. Every person that responded would have a different way they would handle the situation. Some responses would give me a bad vibe, and some I connected with more. And that bad vibe to me was just my little intuitive alarm going off saying, that's not for you. This is where I had the aha moment. The answers I seek are already within me. You see, we all have different values that we hold dear to our hearts, and it's where we make all of our decisions and judgments from. So, since we all have our own unique set of values, it's imperative that we make decisions in our business that have to do directly with our clients from the inside out. Just because someone else is doing it one way, it doesn't mean it's meant for you to do it that way too. Of course, there is so much value in asking the question, like in the Facebook group, right? Because through seeing those responses, you can actually gauge what your inner compass is leaning towards. And that's great. I'm at the point now where I choose to find the answers I seek by going inward through meditation or reading spiritual personal development books rather than turning to see what everyone else is doing in the industry. And as I grow and evolve, I still have questions, of course, and I still turn to the industry for answers. But there is something magical about getting a fresh new perspective from a place outside of the industry. And then you can choose for yourself what is the best solution for you that is in alignment with you instead of being in alignment with fearful thoughts, such as, well, everyone else is doing it this way in the industry. So I guess that means that's the only way and the right way. Heck no. The right way is doing what feels good to you and what is aligned with your values and no one else's. So I wanted to share that with you so you can understand that my approach to wedding reschedules and cancellations has come from me and my values and how I choose to operate my business. Because I have done a lot of inner work to get myself to where I am today with how I choose to approach this scenario, I'm here to show you that I'm not just lucky or that I have it easy. It's been a journey, and I invite you to get to know my character here on a deeper level. Part two, my past. My approach stems from the faith that the universe will have my back and that this situation isn't permanent, just like anything in life. And that no matter what I go through, I can always figure out a way to come out thriving. This approach didn't come easy for me. It actually came from hardship. What instilled this in me was going through a really hard time in the past with money, believe it or not. There was always stress around money in our family since we lived paycheck to paycheck and with accumulating debt. Seeing the stressful energy and the fights that a lack of money created in our household, I swore to myself that I would do everything in my power to never be in that situation when I was older and had my own family. Fast forward to when I was about 22, working my freaking ass off to save money to keep investing it into growing my business. And then, boom, both my parents lost their jobs at the same time, pretty much one after the other. They were doing everything they could to find new work. But in the meantime, I had to pay the bills when I was just a server and in the middle of starting my photography business, which already had a lot of expenses. My parents did so much over the years for me with creating a loving home and always invested in my interests, hobbies, even though it wasn't easy. Because of that, I chose to take on the attitude of wanting to be their hero here. I wouldn't want them to stress more. So at the time, I always put on a brave face saying I had the money to help out and everything was fine. But inside, I knew I was putting it all on my credit card and working as many shifts and hours as possible at the restaurant to make it all work. But I knew if I chose to have a woe is me attitude, then I wouldn't have the energy to get us out of that situation. So, what I did was stayed grateful for every single dollar I earned, every single tip I earned, every single dollar in my paycheck, and grateful to be able to give back to my parents the energy they gave me all those years. On top of that, I was working tirelessly on my business so that I could start booking more and more weddings to be able to bring in the money through my photography business that didn't just cover my business expenses. My life looked like this: work at the restaurant for as many hours as possible. And what I would do was switch to stay on longer with other servers, servers like server life, you know what that's all about. And then I would come back home late around 1 to 3 a.m., work on my business till the morning, sleep, and repeat for years. I didn't see my friends and I didn't take care of myself, but I knew it was the sacrifice I needed to make it in that chapter of my life. And I knew that the situation wasn't permanent. I just got emotional just talking about that. I simply wouldn't let the difficulty of that situation bring me down because I knew if I embraced it, I would come out stronger than I ever have been before. I basically embodied the attitude that money is a renewable resource, so I didn't get bothered that I accumulated debt during that time to get by and keep building my business. Part three, gratitude. I remember when I first started my photography business, my heart was so full of gratitude when someone would trust me to document a special memory in their lives. It was so full of gratitude that I always wanted to go above and beyond for them to show them that I was there for them as a result. I mean, I got to do what I loved, which was taking pictures for money. How lucky was I? One thing I know that has contributed to my success as a photographer is being grateful for every single booking still, as if it's day one. Gratitude is such a powerful force, and I do believe my clients feel it, whether consciously or subconsciously, and it definitely cultivates this trust between us, which is such a beautiful thing. To this day, nothing has changed. I am grateful about anything to do with my business, and I take on the same attitude of wanting to go above and beyond for my clients, for them choosing me out of all the other talented photographers out there, and to be able to literally have my dream job. And what I recently learned in Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, it's a book that I'm diving into right now, is that kindness and gratitude are symbiotic. Here is what I mean. Here's a quote directly from the book. Kindness is as easy and as hard as this: genuinely wanting something good for someone else and thinking about what would benefit them and putting effort into giving them that benefit. We want other people to be kind, compassionate, and giving towards us. Who wouldn't? But the best way to attract these qualities into our lives is to develop them ourselves. So, throughout this pandemic so far, which I will expand on soon, I have chosen to be the first to show up with compassion, kindness, service in all my client relationships. Firstly, because it feels so good in my body and soul. And secondly, because I trust that if I choose to do so fearlessly and with genuinely wanting to be there for them more than myself, I will be taken care of in one form or another. So instead of making decisions from a place of stress and worry, I choose gratitude. And what do I mean by that? Well, Here's an example or some examples. I'm grateful that I have a wedding booking in the first place to reschedule. If I didn't have any weddings to reschedule, that means I would have had zero bookings. I'm grateful that they are working with me to find a date that works for both of us. And this is on most occasions. Obviously, I've had some that haven't been able to figure it out with me, but that's okay because I'm grateful for all the other couples that I have been able to figure that out with. I'm grateful that I get to be there for them. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to show my clients that they can trust me more than they even thought. I'm grateful for the opportunity to ease their stress in any way I can. I'm grateful for all that I've learned from spiritual books to be able to put my values into practice even when it's hard. I'm grateful to learn that I'm more resilient than I thought I was. I'm grateful for this immersive experience of learning how to trust the universe and humanity on a deeper level. So these are just some examples of what I'm grateful for throughout this hard process. And the attitude of gratitude is what has kept me feeling peaceful and at ease 90% of the time in the past year. I do believe that everything in life is neutral. It isn't good or bad because with anything in life, there are pros and cons and consequences to our actions, whether they seem positive or negative in the moment. But I know one thing to be true, and that is that we can always learn and grow from any situation we are faced with. And gratitude helps a lot with the process. Part four, my policy to rescheduling and canceling wedding bookings. So, you want to hear my strategy or my quote unquote policy to rescheduling and canceling wedding bookings? You're like, yeah, duh, Sarah, this is why I tuned into blah, 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 into the episode. Well, it is this: give compassion, serve others like they are family, get compassion, get treated like family. I will expand more on this now, so don't worry. I'll share with you my actual quote unquote policy too. But I've never been one to operate my business from a legal standpoint. I believe laws and contracts have a very valuable place to protect humans if needed. And of course, I have contracts in place in the off chance that someone is really trying to take advantage of me. But all in all, I just choose to operate things on a soul level instead. The way I love operating my business is from a place of understanding, compassion, and flexibility. I believe that if you're there for other humans, somehow the universe will take care of you too. For example, if I move a date for free or refund 2/3 of a retainer for a canceled wedding, I don't see it as a loss. I have full faith that somehow the universe will be there for me and then balance it out for me in the near future or the distant future. It seems that most times when I deal with a cancellation or a reschedule and I'm there for my clients more than I am there for myself, I tend to actually get another booking soon after and it neutralizes everything for me, which has been so fun and has really deepened my trust in the universe. But just as I promised, here is my quote unquote policy. So I've been handling every situation on a case by case basis, but this is kind of my policy framework. So, for example, if someone wants to postpone their wedding, they can do so in the calendar year for free without a fee. If they want to postpone it to next year, there is no fee unless it's a Saturday date between June and October. And in that case, there would be $1,000 fee just to help cover my business expenses, basically for the loss of a prime date. And how I explain that to couples is I say Saturdays are my bread and butter. And normally my retainer is $3,000. And I'm kind of showing them that I'm leaning more towards, um, giving them a bigger break. And I'm basically just saying, I just need the $1,000 to help me cover my business expenses since I would be missing out on like a $6,000, $7,000 booking. So it's just helping me out minimally. And I want to be able to help you out a lot. So that's kind of how I explain it. And then I say in the framework policy thing, if I'm unavailable on your new date, the retainer is non refundable. Now, in the email, I make sure to mention that I know that everybody is going through a different situation. So I say, if you need extra support, I'm here to talk to you human to human and to come to a compromise if need be, if you can't afford to lose the full retainer. So, for example, maybe they have a problem, like maybe they want to reschedule to a Saturday date in the following year during a prime date. And I say, maybe $1,000 is impossible for you, then I'm open to a conversation. And I really truly believe that it's your intention that will mean so much to them. And they will be more open to be willing to figure out a way to make that $1,000 work, or willing to meet halfway or something, right? And so I have literally handled every situation on a case by case basis, customized to the situation of the couple. So if we are able to compromise and meet in the middle, I am able to maybe sometimes even offer 50% of a retainer refund or two-thirds of a retainer refund, depending on their situation, if it's a canceled wedding, right? I have fewer cancellations than reschedules. And yeah, I've treated all of them differently, customized to their needs. But at least what I keep helps me cover my business expenses. So I know a lot of you are scared to say something like that in an email, where you're kind of like, I'm open to conversation if that's hard for you. And I even noticed that feeling pop up within me too, thinking things like, oh, if I say that I'm open to like a chat and compromise if need be, then every couple will request a full refund. But no, that's actually not what has happened in every case. And what I've noticed is that is just fear talking and speaking up within you. And fear, if you break it down into an acronym, it's false evidence appearing real. So I've had situations where I've said that in an email, and some couples responded saying that they totally understand that it's non-refundable and they didn't fight me on it. And I truly believe that I had that response because I was the one to show compassion and understanding for them first, that it led me to receiving that kind of energy back from them. And then they were being selfless for me there as well. From there, when they reacted that way, I actually went on to offer them an album or a session. So at least they still get some value for the loss of their retainer, because they were being so kind to me that I just wanted to return that kindness back. It was like this beautiful kindness circle. Another situation example, that maybe you might be facing. I haven't faced it personally, but during a coaching session with a photographer, she had mentioned that she had booked about 3 weddings when she first started her photography business 2 years ago at $1,000 each. And they already rescheduled once, and then now they're wanting to move again to 2022. So she asked me, how do I go about this, since she now has so much more experience and her pricing is now around $4,000? So here's what I said. I said, you can either A, explain to them how much you have grown over the past couple of years, share your updated pricing, and share that with the $1,000 total for your service that they agreed to before, you will be literally making under minimum wage since you didn't know how to price yourself before. And tell them that you will honor it anyway as a favor for them so that they know the full situation. So that is option A. Option B, you can send the same email mentioning everything I mentioned, but you can ask them if they would be willing to come up a little higher to help you out. So maybe paying another $1,000 or another 2,000 or whatever they can. So you can ask them for that. Um, Option C, you can honor it if they choose a Friday or a Sunday date in 2022. And it would be an additional $1,000 if they chose a Saturday prime date in 2022. And then there's option D, there's option E, there's option F. And the lesson here is that the options of how you approach this are endless, and you can ask them for whatever you want, but just always position it from a place of openness and vulnerability and showing them what value they are going to get, while also being kind, and say that, like, if they can't, that you would totally understand, but you're thinking, oh, it just doesn't hurt to ask because it would really help me out. So I know it's not easy. It takes courage to put your livelihood on the line and trust in others and the universe. But there are many things in life that aren't easy. For example, starting a photography business. But we do it anyway because it's what our hearts want. Just like anything, having faith simply takes practice. A mindset that helps me get through tougher times is having long term thinking. So, for example, short term thinking is seeing that you are losing money and being scared that it'll affect your business in the moment. Long-term thinking is knowing that you are doing a good deed for others, and they most likely will be telling their family and friends of how you bent over backwards for them when it was hard for you, resulting in powerful future referrals. I know some of you listening may be thinking, but I need more than just to cover my business expenses. I have nothing saved up and I need to pay our bills, and more debt is not an option. Then don't worry. I have you covered with more policy ideas in the next episode with Anastasia. But this episode will also be very powerful for you to keep listening and reprogramming your mindset around like giving you a different perspective. So I know it's hard, but these two episodes, I do truly believe that they can help you when listened to together. Part 5: How to navigate pushback from clients. People will only fight back at us if we either A, approach the situation from a place of fear and making it all about ourselves, because then they will respond in the exact same way as a mirror to how you are handling the situation. Or B, they are so desperate in their situation, by the way, that we have no idea about, that they feel that their only option is to threaten us so that they can get their livelihood back. If you're wondering about how couples have responded to a new $1,000 retainer for a prime Saturday date for me, they have been very understanding about the $1,000 retainer and aren't mad with me, since I'm showing with my actions and my words that I'm leaning more towards them. Since, like I mentioned before, normally my retainer is $3,000. But I've had photographers that have had people be upset with them over a $400 rescheduling fee. So there is no magic number I can give you for people not to be upset with you. It all comes down to the energy you give them, how you communicate with them, and all in all, how you choose to serve them. Okay, so now let's say you're thinking, okay, Sarah, but I did all that. I genuinely was so kind to them, bent over backwards, expressed that I have compassion about what they're going through, but they still shat on me. And so to this, I say it's shitty and it's simply a part of life. Sometimes you can do everything you can in your power to be fair or to come to a compromise, and people will still react. But remember, if you have done everything you can, coming from a place of genuinely caring for them as if they were your own close friends, trying to have a human conversation so that you can figure out how to come to a mutual compromise and a place of service and kindness, then a lot of the times they may just be reacting to their own fears to you, and we can't control that. I know how you feel because I had one experience with a client like this in the beginning of COVID, where I was still learning how to navigate all of this. And no matter what I did to try and make the situation right, they didn't want to continue working with me. It may have been that they just needed the money back so badly out of panic. I'm not sure. But after crying my eyes out, hurt that they treated me the way that they did and spoke to me the way that they did, I decided to cut the cord and just refunded them all their money back because I didn't want a connection to their energy. If anything, I have grown so much from that experience, understanding that sometimes no matter what you do, no matter how kind you are, people will have their own reactions during stressful times, and there is nothing you can do but have compassion for them, since they are also human and just learning how to navigate this scenario, right? And you can also just cut the energetic cord, whether by refunding money. And yes, this sucks, but just remember that money is a renewable resource and you can always attract or earn more. Or you can also heal through this by releasing any guilt, sadness, or resentful energy towards them. So I think it's so important when the situations like that happen, because you can't control how they react and you can't do anything more. Figure out a way to heal your own energy of guilt, sadness, and resentful energy, because you don't want to hold on to that. So, with that said, it's like, welcome to life where people are going to react to you in stressful situations sometimes. And other times they can be totally understanding. The thing is, you can't control their reactions. You can only do what you think is fair. And if that means keeping the retainer, then you do that. And remember, I have to remind you again, people will only fight back at us if A, we approach the situation from a place of fear and making it about ourselves, because they're going to react to you the same way. They're going to mirror your energy. Or B, They are in a really hard situation. They're so desperate that they don't know what else to do. I do believe it's a two-way street though, and our clients should try to be there for us just as much as we are for them. And that's why I think meeting in the middle or compromising somehow is very fair for both. I mean, imagine a world where everyone met in the middle, or where those that noticed that the other person was hurting more chose to lean their way and give up their comforts for the well being of the other person. With trusting that one day when they are down, they will also somehow be taken care of. I mean, wouldn't that be so beautiful? But you see, a lot of us are operating and making decisions from a place of me and fear and mistrust in others. And that's okay. No judgment here because we are all human beings learning as we go. But this is why I'm approaching things the way I am. So I can show and inspire others, both photographers and my clients, that it's possible to get through this together if we simply trust in each other, the universe, and meet halfway. Going through it together is much easier than going at it alone. I totally get it. You're trying to get noticed and you don't know how. I mean, raise your hand if wondering where your next booking will come from keeps you up at night. I know how that feels like. I was there once too. But I'm about to help you get clear on how to increase your bookings and inquiries. After coaching many portrait and wedding photographers, I realized they all had one thing in common that was holding them back from booking their dream clients. They didn't know how to market themselves. Once they got clarity on how to show up and put what they learned from me into action, they began to book more of their dream clients. And now I'm excited to help you do the same. So I've created a mini course called Crystal Clear Marketing to, you guessed it, help you get crystal clear on how to attract and book your dream clients. I mean, the year I implemented this, my revenue grew from $69,000 to $137,000 in just 1 year. So if I can do it, you can do it too. So in case you're wondering, inside of the Crystal Clear Marketing mini course, I share how to optimize your website so that more of your dream clients inquire and book, how to go from being a generalist to becoming a specialist, and why it matters, how to find out who you are at your core and fuse it fearlessly into your business. Also, how to show up on IG so you attract quality followers. That's so important. How to make the money you deserve while feeling fulfilled with your work, and how to make marketing effortless and fun because it should be. Running our business should be fun. So what I'm so excited to share with you is that I've made this very affordable. So to get all the deets and enroll in this mini course, go to sarahmonica.com/crystal clear. Again, head over to sarahmonica.com/crystal clear. I cannot wait to see you in there. Part 6, scarcity mindset isn't helping you, it's hurting you. Scarcity mindset is defined as the feeling of there is never enough. So, the idea that there will never be enough money for you to receive or keep, and as a result, your actions and thoughts stem from a place of lack. I want you to close your eyes if you're not driving and imagine for 1 second that your bank account is at zero. So, really take it in, look at that bank account, it's at zero. Now, how do you feel? Embody it. How do you feel with you having $0 in your bank account? And this could actually be your reality right now, or you could be imagining it. So the feelings that pop up are most likely stressed, overwhelmed, sense of lack, fear, right? Okay, now close your eyes and imagine and really truly imagine it. Forget what I just said before. Now imagine that your bank account is at $10,000. Really imagine that $10,000 in there. How do you feel? And the answer is most likely relief, relaxed, abundant, at peace, right? One of my secrets is to go through life with an abundance mindset, no matter what situation I'm in. I'm going to say that again. One of my secrets is to go through life with an abundance mindset, no matter what situation I'm in. Remember earlier how I mentioned that I had to help out my parents when they lost their jobs? And do you remember how grateful I was for every single dollar that entered my world? That gratitude helped me shift into an abundance mindset, even though my bank account was at zero and I was accumulating debt. If I stayed in the state of lack and scarcity, my thoughts would turn to things like this: it's impossible to get through those situations. And then alarm bells would go off, and I would think, we don't have enough. These are hard times. That would get me nowhere, since a scarcity mindset drains your energy, and I would have missed out on all the ideas I received to grow my business. Here is an easy hack to shift yourself from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Have a shift in perspective to see everything that you do have, everything that is around you. And here is a very powerful quote by Helen Keller. I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man that had no feet. It's all about perspective. Perspective will get you through this less stressed. Maybe you find yourself in the situation of having $0 in your business bank account and accumulating debt just to get by. I'm here to say, I know how you feel because I've been there, and it's okay. It may, oh, I feel like crying, damn it. It may feel, oh, it may feel like the end of the world, but it's not. It's simply a situation in life you need to get through. And with the right tools, you can. In 10 years, you may look back and think, oh man, why was I so stressed? All it was being in debt. But then we got through the 2 to 3 years, became more resilient, stronger, learned lessons, and it opened up our eyes to the value of family and friends. And at the end of the day, isn't that what life is all about? It's 10 years later. Imagine it. It's 10 years later. And you say to yourself, here I am with my kids and my partner, and grateful that we get to enjoy a simpler chapter in our lives. And we got through that together. Yes, ideally, you don't want debt, but look at the abundance all around you right now: your home, the food you have, the loved ones you can connect with, your clothing, your safety. You have so much to help you get back up on your feet when this pandemic is over and the time and when the time is right. So, why put yourself through stress? We can't avoid contrast in life. Contrast meaning bad situations and amazing situations happening to us. They're just part of life, so we might as well embrace it. And just like Carl Jung says, what you resist persists. For example, when I'm doing yoga and I'm not in the mood and every pose feels hard, it literally feels so hard. But as soon as I embrace the hard and choose to be grateful in the moment that I'm getting stronger, and I choose to simply follow my breath, it actually becomes so much more effortless. And it's possible to live through life that way too. Part 7: complaining. Just don't. As soon as you lean into the energy of complaining, of feeling like woe is me, you have lost your personal power. You've turned it over to your ego, and then you're making decisions out of fear, stress, selfishness, etc. Every time I open an email where I can tell it's going to be a cancellation or a reschedule, I pause, become self aware, and choose to read it from a place of empathy and compassion, as if it was my own family or friend that was reaching out to me. And I do my best to take care of them. And knowing that if I take care of them, I will be taken care of. And just like that, in that moment, the stress doesn't take over me. I accept the situation and move forward towards solving it. I did have two occasions in the last year where I opened emails and didn't take that pause, and I chose to melt down fully in tears, anger, frustration, everything, right? Then Rory came to my rescue and said this: if you keep going down this dark tunnel, it'll get harder and harder to find your way out. Pause, breathe. Everything is okay. Now turn around, come to the light, and come back to me. It's okay. Let's solve this together. Oh man, like I'm so lucky to have him. That chokes me up. Um, and so I know what it can feel to start going down that road, but nothing good can come out of you going down there. So what's the freaking point? Okay. So simply put, complaining, just don't stop. Don't do it. Don't give it time and energy. And especially in Facebook groups, because that stress moves onto other people, other photographers, and it can also affect or trigger them. So just don't. Part 8, lessons. Going through situations like the earlier one I told you about in life taught me an important lesson: money management. If you choose to come out of this with a lesson that life can turn upside down on you in an instant, then you can feel empowered to choose to put different systems in place moving forward. For example, learning how to manage the money you make in a way that allows you to save up for the future. I personally love to envision that I'm saving up for my dream experiences so that I still have a positive energy attached to that money that I'm saving. And then, in case I need to use it for an emergency, instead of having an upset mindset that I'm losing all that money, I look at it as all that saved up money brought me ease and relaxation during what could have been a stressful time. And that is a priceless gift. Isn't that a beautiful shift in perspective? I really challenge you to take that on and see how much more peaceful your life can get with that perspective. Rory and I decided about 4 years ago that we wanted to save up enough money that if something were to ever happen, I would be able to refund retainers to couples if need be. And so we went on a mission to manage our money well and save up if an emergency like that ever happened. So the choices I'm making today with how I handle this whole situation came from years and years of hard work, lessons, consistent choices aligned with my values. And now I am honored that I get to be there for my clients in the way that I always imagined. Part 9, the service mindset: create an experience. So, this is a little blurb from the book Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, which I highly, highly recommend. And it goes like this: studies show that when we pursue compassionate goals, which are those aimed at helping others or otherwise helping make the world a better place, we're less likely to have symptoms of anxiety and depression than when we focus on improving or protecting our own status or reputation. Service connects us. When you serve, it's hard to be lonely. Service amplifies gratitude. Service gives you a broad view of all that you have. Service also increases compassion. When you serve, you see that the world needs what you have to offer. And service builds self esteem. Helping others tells you that you're making a difference in the world. You have a sense of meaning and purpose. So, with all this said, I've switched my mindset during this time around what the service I'm providing is. In the same way I get excited to create an experience for my clients through photography, I choose to bring the same energy and create an experience for them during one of the hardest challenges they are faced with in life. It could be one of the hardest things that they go through, canceling or rescheduling their wedding. I see this as an opportunity to still serve them, not through photography, but through looking past my own needs and respond to their needs with understanding and compassion. And Jay Shetty says it best: I think of compassion as an active empathy, not only the willingness to see, feel, and ease the pain of others, but also the willingness to take on some of that pain. Here are some examples of experience ideas that you can create for your couples during this time. Number one, getting on the phone with them and talking with them human to human while empathizing with their situation. Listening is a powerful experience because it shows you care and it actually creates a human bond. Number two, getting on the phone and opening up about your situation like a human so they can see how much loss of income you actually had without getting remaining balances and literally relying on retainers to keep you afloat. Because a lot of times, like, we are all humans that are ignorant to something because we haven't experienced everything. So to some couples, they might be thinking like photographers are rolling around in money with all these retainers, but they don't actually know how much it costs to operate a photography business and how much we rely on retainers and remaining balances. So just explaining that can do so much. Number three, offering to figure out a unique solution for them, whether that's offering a session or an album or figuring out something that'll mean a lot to them to make the experience better. Number four, letting them know you are always here if they need to chat and that you are on their team. So these are just some examples. And here's an example of an experience that I had. I had a couple email me to let me know that they were canceling their wedding. And in the email, they said, "We understand that the $3,000 isn't refundable, and you've already moved our date 3 times. So we totally understand we're not getting that back." So I could have easily kept it, right? But I asked myself, how can I still create an amazing experience for them so I'm not just holding on to their money because that energy doesn't feel good to me? So I told them how I felt and said, "Can I offer you a family session in the future or an album?" And then on top of that, if there is a fair difference that I feel like I can refund you, I'm happy to do that too. And they were so surprised and appreciative. And they said, "Yes, we would love a family session. We would love your basic album." So then I went on to refund them $1,200 out of the $3,000 that I thought was fair. You see, I'm acting out of what I want to do. And for me personally, I much rather do that than keep the money and create an amazing experience for them during one of the toughest parts of their lives. But everyone is in a different situation. And so if you need to keep the retainer, there is nothing wrong with that. But I would be open about your situation if you are going to keep it and say something like, "Thank you so much for being understanding with me, keeping the retainer. I'm able to make my next mortgage payment, and I'm so grateful for you for that." For example, having that kind of statement to them, you are basically showering them with with attitude, showering them with gratitude, and although they won't receive the money back from you, they will receive a gift. And that gift is the feeling that they helped someone. And as you know, that is an amazing feeling. So here's another book from, or another book. Here's another quote from Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. "We never know what someone is going through, so we treat them with the gentleness you give someone who is in pain, with the generosity you would give someone who is hungry, with the compassion you would give someone who is misunderstood." Just remember, the retainer was given to you. And since money comes and goes, just like energy, it was once theirs. Now it's yours, but it won't be yours forever. So why not do something good with it and help someone in need? Maybe you're the one in need and you openly share your story with them, or maybe they need it more than you do, or maybe you both need it and so you compromise. So here is another part from the book that I have to read. It's just like so perfect for this episode. "Out in the modern world, no matter how much we want to help others, we are distracted from the service mindset by the desire to be financially and emotionally stable and secure. If you're lost and disconnected, your service will be cumbersome and less fulfilling. But when is the right time? Will it ever be right? Internal exploration has no endpoint. It's an ongoing practice. Your problems will never be completely solved. Take care of yourself, yes, but don't wait until you have enough time and money to serve. You will never have enough." There are 3 simple modes to describe our relationship with money and material wealth. The first is selfish. I want more, as much as I can get, and I want it all for myself. The second is sufficiency. I have just enough to get by. I'm not suffering, but I have nothing to give. The third is service. I want to give what I have, and I want more in order to give more. Moving from the sufficiency mindset to the service mindset means changing our relationship with ownership. The more detached we are, the easier it is to let go of our time and money. So, this book has been like incredible to read during this time. So, I highly suggest it. Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. It'll be linked in the show notes, sarahmonica.com/52. And this is nearing the end of the episode. And if I have any closing words, it's for you to remember this: you can't always choose the situation you are faced with, but you get to choose your perspective. So double check. Do you have a warm house? Do you have food? Do you have Netflix to keep you relaxed and entertained? Do you have access to nature? Do you have access to connect with family and friends? So that's it, my friend. This is my audiobook for this whole topic. I'm so grateful for you taking the time to listen. Please send me a DM if this helped you in any way. So head over to at Sarah Monica Photo on Instagram. Let me know if this helped you in any way. But the journey is not over because now I want you to go tune into part 2 with Anastasia, where she also shares a more logical approach to this. And her perspective is also so valuable. And I really do hope that these two perspectives together can help you create your own recipe on how to approach navigating this world we are in right now as photographers. And now I'll leave you first with love, sending you a ton of love and support. And also this quote as a reminder. It's by Helen Keller. I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man that had no feet. Yay! Thank you so much for hanging out with me and tuning into this episode. If you got value out of it, please feel free to message me on Instagram at Sarah Monica Photo. That's Sarah no H, Monica with a K, photo, to let me know. I get so freaking energized hearing from others that what I've said has had a positive impact on their lives. Also, make sure to hit subscribe to the Shine and Thrive podcast to never miss an episode. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm sending you all the productive vibes your way so you have the best week ever.